Okay, so now we're gonna see how we can add a production order into SAP Business One, given that we have everything already set up, meaning my items, my resources, and I have all those into a bill of materials for my finished goods. So I'll go to modules, production order, and I just typed in my finished good item code. And you see that automatically the system brings up the bill of material that we have set for these finished goods. I'm going to type in my quantity. Let's say we're going to produce 5. This will be the warehouse where I'm going to be doing the receiving of that finished good. Priority is a field that you can use to set the importance of the different productions order that you have at one point in the system or in your production environment. So the way that priority works is the closest to 1 is the highest priority, and closest to 100 is the lowest priority. The routing day calculation, the system works with four different options: the on start day, the on end date, start date forwards, and end date forward. I'm gonna try to explain this concept by moving these dates here for in just a bit. My order date, and I'm gonna say that we're gonna start these on the 30th, or let's say the 15th. Oh, we're gonna just end it on the 15th. Depending on the length of your production process, you can have this for the same day, for the next day, for a week from the day that we're gonna start, a month, whatever the length of your production process is. Then we see who is the user that is typing in the order, the origin of the order. So that this means I'm doing this manually. If this would have been a recommendation from MRP, then you will see here origin MRP. If this is coming from a sales order, because you can create production orders from sales orders, you will see the origin of this will be a sales order, and you will see the sales order number that this order is linked to in this field. And right below, you will see the customer that is associated with that order, that sales order. You can also add or associate or relate these to a project if you are managing projects in Business One. So when I put my quantity here, based on the ratio for all the components, the system will calculate how many of those different items and resources I'm going to need to make my planned quantity. In this case, my base quantities or ratios are 1, so I'm going to need 5 of each. When I add a production order, it will be added as a plan with a status plan. Once I add the production order, you see that all the items that I need immediately get allocated to or committed to the stock that I have originally. So we had 49 for this. Now I have only available 44. So these were committed for this. If these were also like sales items, the system commits this quantity to this production order. So those items are, those 5 are not available to be used or sold for anybody else. So if anyone wants to sell this and goes and checks the inventory, you're gonna see that part of these 51 that are committed are used in a production order. So everything is linked, and you always have visibility of what is available for your items. Before I can do anything, I need to change the status to release, which means I'm releasing this order to be produced on the floor, on the production floor. And now I can start reporting the consumption. So I have a component that is serial batch control, which means I need to manually do the recording of this consumption. So that's what I'm going to do here. And I just select the 5 items for this batch. It's the only one that I have. So, and I just add. This is done. So if you see in here, I have my planned quantity and I have my issue quantity. So far, I only have issue my one item that has an issue method as manual. When I do the receipt from production, meaning I'm going to enter into my stock or my inventory, the finished good, that transaction will automatically create the issue for all the items that are backflush. So let's go and see that. I'm going to go on to report completion for my finished goods. Quantity of 5. And since this is a serialized item, I need to assign serials to this item before I can put it in. So 7, 8, just bear with me for a second. 10 and 11. I just update, okay. And I'm gonna add. So now my receipt from production is complete. So I see planned quantity 5, issue quantity 5. So I had no production issues, everything went smoothly. The 5 that I planned or the 5 that I receive at the end. If I check my relationship map, I'm gonna see my production order. This first issue for production that is not attached to anything is the one that I did for the manual issue method components. And this receipt from production that has this dotted line to this issue for production is the document that I just did. And the system automatically creates the issue for production for all those backflush components. So if I go and see this, I'm going to see my backflush component 1 and all my resources on the box. All these had the issue method that's backflush. Those are created automatically by the system when I receive my finished good. So I now have, if I check the item, I'm going to see part of these 10 are the 5 that I just received. And are already available to be sold. If I go to the summary tab, I will be able to see the cost of the components that I use, the cost of the resources that were used for this production run, my total cost, and my variance. In this case, there's no variance. If this order is not going to be used anymore, I could still receive something else, even though my planned quantity is 5. I can still receive some or more quantities. Well, let's say this was closed, then I can just close this production order. And at this moment, I cannot include any more components. You see, everything is grayed out. There's no way that I can add or do any changes or modifications to this order. And that closes the production cycle for this order. And that's how easy you can manage production in SAP Business One.
So just in summary, before we open this up to questions, I just want to go through again. We've got the 6 benefits to manufacturing companies by using production orders. We went through the setup items and resources, basically getting ready for production orders. We reviewed the bill of materials, and then we went through production order processing, the release and completion, as well as all the material controls within the production order. We also want to talk about a couple of additional benefits going forward. The additional materials requirements planning, which is an excellent supply and demand analysis. It's going to provide all the recommendations for ins and outs and for both manufactured and purchase items. Basically, you can set different item limits and max mins associated with that. And the MRP will do a full supply and demand analysis based upon lead times and give you the recommendations needed to support your production. Forecasting is another great tool, which will provide you some future planning to drive material requirements that may have elongated lead times or may have fluctuations in demand that need to be satisfied by a forecast rather than open sales orders. So you'd be able to forecast in total or by group or individual customers by day, week, or month. Another advantage is as you're using SAP Business One, all of the sales order history can be used for historical usage, and that can be used to predict future requirements and forecasting going forward.